4 years ago, I backed a little game I saw at PAX East called Darkest Dungeon. Since then, I have played for dozens of hours over the course of the beta, full retail release, and a handful of subsequent updates. Now, the moody dungeon crawler has made its way to the Nintendo Switch, where my love for Darkest Dungeon has been rekindled due to the Switch's easy-to-use touchscreen and the DLC that I missed on the previous releases. For those of you who don't know, Darkest Dungeon is a super fun dungeon crawler where you lead a group of adventurers through your ancestral home. Turns out, your uncle or grandfather or something was an occult weirdo who delved into an antediluvian horror show.
But we were in a realm of death and madness.
His words, not mine. Once you reach your family's manor, you realize that a small town has sprouted up around the various dungeons you'll be delving over and over again. As you progress through the first several jaunts through the various thematically named locations, the Weald, Cove, Ruins, and so on, new buildings sprout up, giving you more options to strengthen your brave but disposable warriors. And oh mama, will your heroes die.
This is no place for the weak or the foolhardy.
Failure is a huge part about what makes Darkest Dungeon so great. When you are one wrong move from a total party kill, which is incredibly difficult to pull yourself out of, your entire body starts responding as if you're in actual danger. It's a great effect. You go on various delving missions, come out with loot and hopefully stronger adventurers, then you use said loot to upgrade your town or to heal any negative effects your adventurers may have received, like stress or dysentery or something. Then you go back in and start the process all over again. Maybe this time you brought back an especially powerful piece of equipment, and your dude's chances of survival are just that much better. Of course, the wounds gained the deeper you descend into the Darkest Dungeon are not just skin deep.
The front line of this war is not in the dungeon, but rather inside the mind.
All of your adventurers suffer stress from the eldritch horrors they face, which could cause them to break and panic during battle. Or, if you're extremely lucky, they'll dig deep into a well of strength they didn't even know they had, granting boons and status buffs. It is a great system that takes some time to balance. Sure, the spooky black numbers are obviously bad when you first start getting them in the dungeons, but as you continue from room to room, your own personal stress increases because your unit's stress is not lowering. After many hours, you learn to fear monsters who cause stress damage over those that just hit hard and do, HP damage.
The end approaches.
The DLC adds vampires, which is both cool and a huge pain in the ass. But the entire game of Darkest Dungeon is one pain in the ass simulator, so the vampires don't really feel that bad. It is just another place to explore and learn more about your weird, creepy uncle or granddad, or maybe even great-granddad. I refuse to look it up. The hellbugs from the DLC eventually start invading the other non-DLC areas of Darkest Dungeon, giving an added layer of variety to each run. Sure, you now have a higher chance of becoming a vampire, but being a vampire is pretty cool. You drink blood, and you get stronger. I haven't beaten the DLC area, the courtyard, yet, since it's a huge dungeon that is made to be explored over and over again, as opposed to the randomly generated rooms of the main game's dungeons. You enter the courtyard, and over the course of a few delves, I guess you would say, you explore more of the rooms there. Then you leave. Kind of counts as a weird failure, but not really. And then you come back until you eventually face off against one of the strong boss characters of the Crimson Court. But the dungeon itself doesn't reset. Well, it's cool. It's a different thing, and I like it. Also, I bought the DLC unit, the Shield Breaker, and the Flagellant. I think the Flagellant, or however you say it, came with the Crimson Court DLC, aka the Vampire DLC. I haven't used him much since he seems really weird in that he kind of hurts himself to buff the rest of the party or to cause really powerful bleed effects on enemies. He seems strong. I don't know. Now, the Shield Breaker. She became my favorite unit. She's kitted out with a ton of abilities which move her backwards and forwards in the line of battle, turning her into a cool, poison spear-wielding dancer.
Press this advantage. Give them no quarter.
Plus, she has moves to shield herself, and she can hit stealth characters. Oh yeah, there are stealth enemies now. I don't know when they were added, but I hate them, and the shield breaker can make them unstealthed or whatever. Great unit, I love her. And honestly, I have to say that being able to prop myself into a blanket nest with my Switch in hand and something else on the TV has made the many hours I've played on this new Nintendo Switch save a total blast. Truth be told, I always burnt out on Darkest Dungeon because you really do need to grind your heroes until they are unstoppable monsters.
Prodigious size alone does not dissuade the sharpened blade.
Well, maybe people that are better than me don't, but I certainly do. Even after 15 hours or so in a party of extremely strong heroes, I still lost units or had to retreat for fear of losing my entire team. Playing a little more cautious while I watch Dungeons & Dragons stream, for instance, makes the grind not feel so bad, and you get to set your own pace. Sure, the controls take a bit to get used to, but with the added touchscreen support on the Switch, if you play undocked, I had very few issues. So all in all, I'm not gonna say that the Switch version of Darkest Dungeon is the version to get, but I think I will say it is second to a laptop that doesn't get too hot and isn't too loud. Playing while I'm on the train or with something on in the background removes many of the negatives I felt when I played Darkest Dungeon in the past. And don't get me wrong, Darkest Dungeon is one of my favorite games. It's entered into my pantheon of games that I play just so that I can watch something else. Now, they just need to put World of Warcraft out on the Switch, and then I'll never need to leave my couch for it again.
Our morality slipping ever deeper into the mud.
We don't give stars, but the Darkest Dungeon on Switch is really great if you haven't played it for a while, just like many of the other Switch versions of games you know and love.
Deliver our family from the ravenous, clutching shadows of the Darkest Dungeon.
Find more videos over at youtube.com/GeeklyInc, or if you want to see live streams, go to twitch.tv/GeeklyInc. Or you can follow me on Twitter, @Tim Lanning.